describe the academic successor.
Okay, there's that. Any other amendments? All right, seeing none, I can go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Okay.
I move to approve the agenda.
All right, a second by Lexi. All right, all those in favor, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, so 12, 0, 0 to the vote. Going to approve the agenda. So the only two things we struck were the two funding, so ASRF and the student loans and program fund. Okay, we'll go ahead and open up for public comments. Oh, the amendment. Oh, there's another. Okay. So there actually was not. Okay, we'll run into table minutes to next week, so we'll give everyone an opportunity to review the minutes from last week's meeting. We'll go ahead and approve them at next week's meeting. So please be sure to review those. And then we'll go ahead and open up for public comments. So the first round of public comments can be audio only. So USAC Live, Heather will turn off the video, so it'll just be audio. And then we'll go ahead and do visual and audio after. So please remember these public comments are 2-minute limit only. So great, is the USAC Live good? Yeah, we're good. Fine. So go ahead and start here. Do you have a microphone? Oh, great. All right, so go ahead and start here. So this is for audio, right here.
Hi, my name is Megan. I'm the former transition representative, 4th year political science major, academic science minor. And I didn't think I'd actually be back at council this soon to make another public comment, but let's call it a day. So I'm here to kind of voice my opinion on the resolution that will be presented tonight. And I really think that the language in the last flood be resolved is extremely problematic. Especially considering that Napolitano is a person that a lot of students just do not feel safe with leaving the university. And the fact that a governing body that represents students at the school would find it okay to coordinate with Janet Napolitano, I think to be very highly infuriating, just because we worked so hard all of last year, especially to create a unified message about how we feel about the Regents in Napolitano, and then to have that all reversed by one resolution, especially so soon in this particular council's kind of era, it's really just damaging to the overall movement that students have been working really hard to preserve. And I really implore all of you to really think about the language you're about to approve tonight, because it's not only just what you feel like would serve whatever higher political purpose you're trying to serve right now. It's about the students. Think about the students who feel unsafe, because that's the people you're trying to serve more than anybody else.
This is for audio only.
Hello everyone, my name is Danae Joseph. I'm currently the State Affairs Director in the current External Vice President's office. In addition, I'm reading this statement on behalf of Mario Rojas. He's actually at this moment, he's one of the retention coordinators for ideas. Only those that will not question her. There was no transparency to students on the summit, and we were not taken into consideration in the planning. At that summit, we had been forced to meet. We had to force her to meet with us. She promised to do some of the demands, but until we do not take action, we cannot trust her. Also, her presence in the UC as president has been very problematic. When she was in charge, as the secretary, let me just read what I'm going to do. Okay, so we attended a summit this past weekend. It was the National Summit on Undocumented Students. What took place this weekend was President Napolitano was supposed to be there for a 6-hour span on Friday. What she did, she changed it last minute. I was there as one of the individuals who presented, and as an undocumented student myself, I was present in that space. What she did last minute, she was supposed to be there on Friday to be able to hear some of the questions and concerns in which students across the UC had. There was 10 students who were meant to represent each UC campus. However, what she did last minute was change the agenda on us, and what we were told based on her staff members is that she couldn't make it because she had prior meetings. Why is it that I have to move a midterm? Why is it that I flew to San Francisco on Wednesday after I just came back from Florida to be able to meet with the president because she said she wanted to hear about the questions and concerns in which our population had? So I find it to be highly problematic and indicative of the relationship moving forward that she clearly does not want to work with students. I do believe that it is something admirable that we want to reach out to her and that we want to have those conversations. However, we cannot move forward without accountability. We cannot let Napolitano forget the lack of accountability and transparency which she's had with me past year. As someone who served as the Department of Homeland Security Secretary, she failed to implement and work on a lot of issues that directly impacts the undocumented population. That's something that's problematic. She deported over 300,000 students. That's something that we need to be able to keep in mind. We have to hold her accountable for, and we have to identify next steps to ensure that next year that this doesn't happen, and when things like a tuition increase comes about, that we're actually able to hear the questions and concerns about the student population. So in order for us to move forward, yes, work with her, but make sure that the Regents as well as the UC Office of the President knows about these issues so that they can be held to a higher standard moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, again, this is for audio only. We'll get you on the back.
Hello everybody, my name is Jackie and I'm with CalPERD. So let me just talk a little bit about CalPERD. So we're a student-funded, student-directed nonprofit that works to protect the public when powerful special interests threaten our air, our water, and our consumer rights. So CalPERD in the past, we've helped ban plastic bags in California, and we also, in the past few years, we've helped raise financial aid by $36 billion. Just recently, we helped pass a policy to make sure that McDonald's would phase out antibiotics in their chicken, or we convinced McDonald's to phase out antibiotics in their chicken. And so what makes it so effective is that we have tens of thousands of students who pledge to support CalPERD. Everyone needs to give $10 every quarter on their Bruin bill, and that money, it goes to funding advocates and staff who can train us on how to run effective campaigns and advocate for us full-time in Sacramento and Washington. So we just finished our pledge drive, and so thank you if you've pledged with us. And thank you. And also we just came back from our conference, our statewide conference, where we decided our lead campaign and also elected our executive board. So I'm really excited to work with you all, and yeah, I'm going to pass around some of these information sheets about CalPERD, so please take one.
Thank you. Is any more audio only?
Not just the mics. I don't like mics. So my name is Fernando. I'm a member of the UCLA community. And really, I just came here for the first time in trouble finding the room. But I made it here to voice a concern that was brought to my attention, and I hope to do it in a quick manner, although I'm kind of rambling already, so it's a little concerning, quite frankly. This concern is something that's already been brought to the attention in previous public comments. I want to highlight one particular aspect of this decision that is being considered the vote of, I'm not good with the language in student government, of confidence to Janet Napolitano. It should give us pause to take this vote of confidence on today, particularly because today the LA County Board of Supervisors passed the resolution to do away with the 287G agreements, and I think to vote a confidence vote on Janet Napolitano, former I think to vote a confidence vote on Janet Napolitano would just serve to reinforce the strident dissonance, the tone deafness of UCLA in general, not y'all, wonderful group of folks, I don't know y'all. UCLA in general, with respect to LA, the LA community. So please, if 287G just sounds like three random numbers and a letter at the end, I urge you to look it up, because if you consider that ending today on the same day that this vote of confidence is being passed, I have no way to finish that sentence. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so for audio only. Are there any more audio only comments? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and turn on the live stream for audio and visual. So this will be video as well. So we're going to start here for audio and visual. All right, right here.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kevin Casasola. I was the Funded UC Director with the State Affairs component, working alongside with Danae Joseph and Nate Garcia and Morris Sarakian. I just want to say thank you all for having me in space. It's nice to see new council, new faces, and some old faces, of course. Of course, like other people, I did want to talk about the resolution that's on the table, especially working as a Funded UC Director. First of all, I think I'm really happy that you all are, as a board, first we want to talk about this tuition because it's very important. But the manner by which you all are doing it, I think is slightly problematic. Just to give a couple background on why people feel some type of way about Napolitano, in addition to what she did at the Summit for Undocumented Students. But when we asked them at one of our board meetings for UCSA, because I sit on UCSA, a UC Student Association. When we asked them if there were going to be any tuition increases, Patrick Lentz, who's representative of UCOP, told us, oh, we don't know. And then find out a couple weeks later that, yes, they are going to have this long-term tuition stability plan implemented by Jan Napolitano with the consent of all of our chancellors across the UCs. We consistently tried to work with Napolitano. She's consistently disrespected us as students. And the fact that she has been selected in terms of talking to certain students in regards to, let's work with these students, but it's exclude students who have been a part of the conversation. We've been trying to work with you. We've been trying to hold you accountable to the work of funding the UC. I think it's pretty appalling. Another thing I want to say is from the, just so you know, from the three sponsors of the resolution, Heather Rosen, Rudy Patel, and then also Zach Helder. As Fund UC Director last year, we were able to do a lot with the previous Financial Supports Commission in terms of advocacy, other than a Facebook post that you have put on your Facebook. And with the current Financial Supports Commission, we haven't been able to work with them last year. So I really hope that you really try to, as a board, to work together, or as a council, and as well as make sure that you are aware of the fact that we have been working in these spaces.
That's 2 minute timeline, I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, thank
Of course.
All right, thank you. All right, so audio and visual.
Good evening, Council. My name is Morris Sarakian. I'm the president of the USAC Coalition in the third year and a poli-sci major. And of course, like my colleagues here, I came to express concern and disapproval over the fact that in the last clause of the resolution that has been already mentioned, students were willing to work with the UC Office of the President. As student advocate to the region, I had one of my finals moved last quarter to fly to San Francisco for a day to attend the Regents meeting and to voice my concerns about the tuition conversations that were being had. Of course, aside from me, there were students there who were protesting, who showed their disapproval of the Regents and what they're trying to do with regards to tuition policy. And Napolitano called me personally, and every other student in that room, corrupt. This is the individual that you want to work with. Please keep that in mind when you're trying to work with them, because Napolitano has a history of not listening to student concerns and dealing with student voices and how we express them is correct. Also, as an Armenian student, and as someone who was randomly selected very unrandomly at every airport that I ever go to, I find it incredibly appalling that the sponsors of this resolution are trying to work with the former Secretary of Homeland Security that has legalized this form of racial profiling against people who fit my stereotype and my perspective. So thank you, I hope you keep that in mind, and what always.
Thank you. Public comment?
Hello. Hi everyone, my name is Edino Garcia. I'm the current internal vice chair at Metro UCLA. And I'm just wondering, where council members that are current council members right now, during fall quarter when we took a delegation of students to UC San Francisco and protested the fact that John Napolitano used students as pawns in order to make sure to use us with like a criminal ground to get more state funding. Where were you all at? Thank you for that response. And so I'm just here to give you the concern that you all want to work with Janet Napolitano and the UC regions. Well, let me tell you, at UC San Francisco, she had like a line of police officers right here ready to attack students. She was ready to attack us. That made me feel safe. I went over there to try to do my public comment to Janet Napolitano, and they had riot police out there and making sure that they were listening to us as students. As mentioned in UCLA, we also were there protesting here on campus and making sure that the Latino voice was heard and against these tuition increases. So for you all, trying to vote that last clause, like I love everything else about the resolution, but that last clause is like ineffective. It's not going to work. We already tried working with Janet Napolitano, not only as Metro, but also as the external vice president, national affairs director. So I just want you all to take that into consideration. And thank you all for your time.
Any other public comment?
I actually have one more thing.
Unfortunately, it's one public comment per commenter, but if anyone else wants to make a public comment, you're more than welcome. Go around one more time. All right, any other public comment? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close public comment at 7:19. Thank you all for coming out. Okay, we'll go ahead and move along our agenda. So seeing no such presentations, move on to appointments. So we'll go ahead into officer and member reports. So I'll go ahead and begin for president. So yesterday we actually had a meeting with Janina Montero, and I went with Zach, our new community service commissioner. We talked about the logistics and kind of the administrative end to the Sergeant Michael Leadership Service Award. I'll go ahead and have him talk about it during announcements, more so the specifics of everything. We're kind of working on finalizing that, working with Gina Montero, as well as the Chancellor's office to kind of solidify that. So that is an initiative that's been worked on with the President's office and then the CMC in the past. Additionally, I did meet with Keith Parker yesterday from Government Relations to see how we can better solidify that relationship and what we can work together for advocacy efforts beyond UCLA and what we can do in the local level, the state level, as well as the national level. And they actually are going to DC next week for a advocacy day for government relations. So they are going to DC next week. In the past, they've gone up to Sacramento. The DC, I guess, May is their DC one. Additionally, also, I'm sure Heather will talk more about this, but our applications will be coming out tonight or tomorrow regarding officers. So for the President's office, we do have our executive and staff applications all in one application. So if everyone applies, so I'll throw it out there on the live stream. Those are all the updates I have for now. So I'll go ahead and pass it along to our internal vice president.
Okay. So yeah, we do have staff applications coming out tonight or tomorrow morning, depending on when everyone gets them in. I'm still waiting on a few more people. So they all have like different deadlines. So just kind of take note to some of them. We'll have the deadlines listed on the event. So anyone who's watching the live stream, if you want to apply to USAC, check the deadlines. I also, moving to like IDP stuff, I have a meeting on Monday with the Deputy City Attorney, Veronica De La Cruz, to talk to her about the lighting issue in Westwood. So my office this past year collected different addresses that had problematic lighting. And we also collected addresses that had exemplary lighting, and we're going to present that to her on Monday with the West Side Alliance and other landlords there. So I'm really excited. I'm hoping for a good outcome.
Okay, thank you, Heather. And then Zach Cutler is not here currently. He will be coming late. He actually is in Sacramento today, making one last effort before the May revise to meet with legislators up in Sacramento. So he will be joining us in about 20 minutes. So we'll go ahead and move along to our Academic Affairs Commission.
This past Sunday, I was able to meet up with Allison Block, the past Academic Affairs Commissioner, to go over our transition, which is really great. So now, fully aware of my various responsibilities, and we'll continue to work with various administrators. Come and definitely apply to be an academic appointment, or to be a part of the staff. Applications are coming out with everyone else, so I'm really excited to see who is interested in the Academic Affairs Commission. But more importantly, just today I ran into Dr. John Merrick, part of the Office of Instructional Development. And so we're kind of doing stages of getting meetings together to talk about including a question on the professor emails that would address diversity in the classroom, and whether or not professors are facilitating a classroom environment that is inclusive of all students. So that's something I'm looking forward to working with.
Great, thank you. And then we'll go on to our administrative representatives. So Roy, okay, great. Dr. Miller?
Just a few reminders for all of you that some of the things you're going to have to do in the next few weeks are going to be quite important. You're going to need to begin making your appointments. You'll need to have your finance commissioner appointed before the end of June, so that that person can appoint a committee before the end of June, so that you can actually get access to your resources on July 1. Without a commissioner and a committee, you will not have access to your money. You will also be asked to decide whether you're going to be meeting bi-weekly and how frequently you're going to be meeting over the summer. So I would encourage you, if you haven't thought about your summer travel plans, start doing that so that when Heather calls for that conversation, you're prepared and you know when you'll be here, when you won't. Also, you have a few other committee appointments that are going to be quite important because there are a number of committees that hold orientation over the summer. You're going to be asked to make your appointments to the ACC Board of Directors, to CAC and CPC, and to SBAC, and to have those done earlier rather than later. So when you start getting asked to serve on committees like ARC, please take that seriously and know that that's a particularly important committee assignment as a USAC member. The role of those who will review the potential applicants and make recommendations is important. If you take that position, you need to take it seriously, make yourself available to attend those meetings so that appointments can go on in a timely fashion. You should have received a couple of emails over the past week, one from Denise Pacheco, one from Maria Blandisi with details of the events I mentioned last week. If you haven't received those, let me know and I'll make sure they get forwarded to you. And that's it for now.
Thank you. Okay, and Cheryl's not here. Lori? Nothing? Okay. Cheryl's not here, and then Patty?
Hi, well, I'm just a few announcements. We have installation this Saturday, so hopefully you all can attend for our first one. If you can arrive around 11:30, we'd like to start the ceremony at noon. It's, semi-formal, so you can dress up, but feel free to wear whatever you like. We also have a photo shoot on the 19th. This is in your introduction packet, so this is easy to see that. At 5 p.m. and we'll meet in the Kirchhoff Coffee House patio. This will be a portrait waist up, so feel free to wear shorts at the time. Yes, and flip-flops to be comfortable. But hopefully you can attend. If you cannot attend at the 5 p.m. time slot for our portraits, please do let me know so we can coordinate and find out what we can do to rearrange the time for that.
But I'd like to have, if possible, everyone be able to do that. I did schedule on a Tuesday for council. And it should only take a couple minutes, so if you have to squeeze in for a 2-minute slot before you have to run to class, you can do that, it will not speak. We also have move in, move out, date is set for May 22nd. I know most officers may already have access to the offices, but I'll be working with everyone for their magnetic access or any other questions you may have. So I'll be sending out emails with those details. And I'll also need your 3 signatories for your office or commission. And so these are you'll be included as one of those signatories, and then 2 other signatories. I'll just need their name, email, and group ID number. I'm going to be updating the OrgSync system in the full office. You'll be receiving the emails for your organization. You'll be able to reserve rooms, etc., etc. I also sent out final announcement. I'm sorry, it's a lot. I sent out a lottery reminder. So this week is a lottery for rooms in Ackerman and Kirkhoff. So you'll have to reply to that email, so you'll be placed on the lottery list so you can reserve your rooms. This is for next fall. This is for your meeting this fall. As council, you do have access to room 417, which other organizations have limited access to. So it's sometimes easier to get rooms, but definitely sign up for that lottery. And that is it.
Okay. What date did you want us to send you our signatures?
I know you all are working on getting your staff appointed, so just as early as you can. It just makes things easier for you in the scheduling. So let's say 2 weeks.
Wait, any other questions here?
We did have that conversation about capacity for the group to 5 to 10. But we love everyone to be able to reach all their friends and loved ones if they want to.
Any other questions?
All right, seeing then we move on to our fund allocations. So Cindy for contingency programming.
So I just sent out another matrix for the regular programming contingency to all the email. Sorry for last minute change. I had to take out a group because for events that are happening in June, it's actually under summer budget, so it won't get approved by council till June. So we can only approve May events right now. So I just took out one group that has June event. So there are a total 32 groups this week, and total required is $172,627.68, and total requested is $27,339.38, and total recommended is $9,260, and the balance will be $8,486.30.
Okay, great. And then I can entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the fund allocation of $9,216.60.
Okay, wait a second. All right, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, 11. All those against and all those abstain. One abstention, so 1101 vote. Contingency program is approved. And then capital contingency.
There's one group that applied, and total required and requested is $716.95, and total recommended is $600, and the balance for capital contingency will be $522.
Okay. Great. And I can entertain a motion to approve.
All right, that's good. I missed a question.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, since the request was for a little bit more than the amount approved, is it that the estimate was inflated, or do they have extra funding? How does that work when you approve funding for part of an item?
Because we also evaluate, or we allocate based on their quality of the application. So we look into the application as well, the quality. So we don't give them full allocation, and we're expecting them to either have their office money or their own organization money to cover the.
Oh, I'm calling myself. So is it the same quantitative reasoning that you used for the other applications? We use the 5.
Yeah, those are our grade of the application.
Okay.
And grading is based on the average of 3 of our members.
Okay. Great, thank you. Okay, is there any other discussion? Okay, I can entertain a motion to approve capital contingency.
I move to approve the capital contingency allocation of $600. Was it $600?
Okay, can I get a second? Right, second by Dave. All those in favor? Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, those against and those abstain, so 12-0-0 vote. Let's go ahead and approve capital contingency. So EDP travel advocacy grant, Zach Helder is still not here. Seeing that he's not here, when we struck it, we'll just go ahead and move on to ASRF, or ARC. So go ahead and pass it on to Amy.
So, on May 10th, 2015, the Archer Strength Committee Fund, they allocated to 27 student organizations for a total of $42,766.90. That was our goal, essentially, is those were the last minute applications. There is maybe 2 more that's still allocated. The goal was to essentially use all the funds so that this big referendum was efficient in the fact that it was going towards arts and culture-based programming and not going to students.
Okay, great. Okay, so then did you have an amount that you were going to allocate this week, or are you going to wait?
I mentioned that the amount was $42,766.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. Okay, so this is actually a consent item, so we don't need to take a vote, but is there any discussion surrounding it or any objections?
I just would love to know more about it.
You want me to say it now? Or
Yeah, please.
So the Arts Restoring Community Committee was implemented from last year's actions with the referendum, and specifically it coincides with the Cultural Restoration, and that is looking to provide resources for arts and cultural programming, and that is through a series of cultural restoration. So essentially it began with $100,000. We started in Winterport, and it was all of the restoration bylaws who was qualified enough to get the positions in itself, and the staff is made up of 5 members, and we meet weekly to do these allocations, and 2 organizations could apply to the funding twice a quarter. So if you're a part of the collective, you can essentially apply up to $6,000 a quarter. If you are not a part of the collective, you can apply to $4,000 a quarter.
One of my friends was trying to
Okay. Great, yeah, so sorry, I just have a suggestion in general for improving our funding allocation other than contingency that's applying to PAC, ASRF, SWC, EDP. That if you guys can send out your matrix to all council members beforehand, that would be easier because then no one can really object anything when they fit us the matrix.
Yeah, that's it. I also think it's good too what you mentioned about surplus. I think that's something that council-wide with any funding body that we're dealing with to make sure that we are allocated to necessary student groups. With surplus, this last couple of years, we've had lower surplus as a council and as of all our funding sources. So that's good because it means that you're more efficient when using the funds that you have available. So that's why it's very important that you are allocating to student groups as opposed to it being left over and then depending which way it can go. So I think that's definitely a great precedent, something that you mentioned that's very important. Okay, great. So then with that, it's going to go ahead and be a consensus item. So is there any objection or any discussion items surrounding the Arts Restoring Community Fund? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and approve that. So now we're going to move on to old business. So we have no old business. And then moving on to new business. Yes?
I'll go.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I just going to move for a 5-minute recess, considering one of the sponsors of the resolution here. Just give him some time to get here, I heard he's on his way. So I think it's important that all sponsors are here, considering that there's a lot of student interest around this resolution. So I'm gonna move for recess.
Okay. Yes, do we have an ETA? Yeah, we can. He said when I talked to you about 5 minutes, he said he'll be here in 10 minutes, but we can go ahead and read the resolution and then have a recess after. Would the council prefer that?
Oh, yeah, I'll withdraw my motion.
You want to withdraw your motion?
Resolution first.
Okay, great, so we'll go ahead and read the resolution. What we've done in the past is the sponsor would go up and read it. So seeing as we're repeating our other ones here, we'll go ahead and go up and read it, and then is everyone and then everyone can see it on the screen and or have it on the computer shared to you over the agenda. Okay, great. So since I'm going to say that, I'm going to give Heather the gavel. Sure. All right, thank you. Okay.
Hello, everyone. This is a resolution in support of increased affordability for students at the University of California. Whereas the following economic recession in 2008, state funded for the University of California was initially reduced by $850 million and subsequently reduced further by $350 million in 2011-2012 as part of Governor Brown's plan to stabilize state finances and
Whereas despite the passage of Proposition 30 in November 2012 to prevent additional cuts, the governor instituted a plan for tuition increases in the same year, following a structure of 5%, 5%, 4%, 4% increases over the following 4 years, and
whereas state funds remain $480 million below the levels at which funding was set at in 2007-2008, without considering inflation or increases in enrollment,
And whereas the University of California currently receives the same level of funding as it did in 1999, despite having an additional 83,000 students and having chartered another campus, and
whereas in spite of the fact that the actual cost of providing UC education has decreased from $23,050 to $18,060 due to increased efficiencies employed by the university, the student will, for the first time since the university's inception, be paying more than the state for the cost of their education, and
whereas revenue in the state of California is currently $1 billion over projections, making this an opportune time to increase funding to the university in order to stabilize its finances so that it may serve future generations of California students. And
whereas the state of California is currently expected to spend more than $62,000 on each prison inmate between 2014 and 2015, whereas expected to spend only $7,090 on each student in the University of California, meaning that the state will fund its incarcerated inmates at 9 times the level that the UC funds its students. And
whereas the reducing staff, curtailing faculty recruitment, maximizing operational efficiencies, boosting fundraising, and deferring critical maintenance, the university has saved more than $644 million over the course of the past few years. $426 million of which is tied directly to the aforementioned cost-cutting measures, while the remaining $238 million is tied to projects which generated revenue. And
whereas the University of California, when compared to its similar public and private institutions of higher education, has lower tuition and fees for undergraduates who are California residents, and
whereas every non-resident student that the UC enrolls partially subsidizes an additional California resident student, the university has increased non-resident enrollment in order to mitigate the impact of financial cuts.
Whereas the earning gap continues to widen between California residents who hold bachelor's degrees and those who do not, while residents who hold these degrees contribute to the state's tax base and are less reliant on social services, and
whereas 41% of undergraduates at the University of California are first-generation college students, 30% of undergraduates at the University of California are transfer students from community colleges, and
whereas increasing numbers of high school graduates in California, in particular students of color and students from low-income communities, did not previously have equal access to education, and
whereas 42% of undergraduates at the University of California qualify to receive federal Pell Grants, indicative of family income below $50,000, and within 5 years of graduating, Pell Grant students from university are projected to earn more than their parents' combined earnings, and
Whereas the federal Perkins Loan Program, a 5% interest loan for low-income students, is also facing cancellation. And whereas the University of California generates more than $46 billion in economic activity every year, due in large part to the fact that every dollar invested by a California taxpayer in the university results in a $10 gross state product and a $14 in overall impact. Let it be resolved that the Undergraduate Students Association Council supports the investment of an additional $100 million in the University of California, allocated from the $165 billion California state budget, in order to eliminate the need for an increase in undergraduate tuition in 2015-2016. In addition, this investment will help meet the increasing demand for UC education by enrolling 5,000 additional California high school and community college transfer students over the next 5 years. Further, it will support initiatives to increase academic quality and to facilitate the continued production of highly qualified graduates who will supplement California's workforce. And let it be further resolved that the Undergraduate Students Association Council supports the perpetuation of the federal Perkins Loan and federal Pell Grant programs as they both apply to the students of the University of California. And let it be further resolved that the Undergraduate Student Association Council supports the establishment of a middle-income scholarship specific to UCLA and will advocate for middle-income affordability, continuing to make access to higher education a priority at the council table. And let it be finally resolved that the Undergraduate Students Association Council will take action on behalf of this effort, lobbying both the California State Legislature and the California Executive Branch, and coordinating with President Napolitano and the UC Regents to strengthen the effort and achieve a common goal of state investment in the University of California.
Thank you.
So I'm going to remake my motion to 5-minute recess.
5-minute recess. Do you have a second? All right, second by Trent. So all those in favor? Raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sure.
Never mind.
We vote for some vote. So there is a vote on the table, and so the vote is already in action. So unless you want to retract your vote, your motion?
Yes, I'll retract my motion to take a 5-minute recess.
Okay. So Ian, go ahead and retract his motion. So we'll go ahead and continue. Oh, hi. Please go chairs. Okay, great. So we just read the resolution. So what we've done in the past is we actually first did, if there were any small corrections, grammatical errors, different words you'd like to use, we'll go ahead and take commentary on that, and then we'll go ahead and discuss the larger issues or concerns or comments you have about the resolution. So at this time, I'll take any comments regarding any grammatical errors, any choices in diction, any of that. So does anyone have anything regarding those lines? Okay, so no comments on that. All right, now we'll go ahead and discuss any larger implications that we have about the resolution, comments, concerns, anything about the resolution in general. Yes, Elise.
First, I just want to thank Heather Ruby and Zach for making this resolution, and it's very well written. However, I must say that I do have a concern with the last clause of the resolution, given the fact that students have worked with General Napolitano and UC Regents over the years, and there's no progress being made. And also students that multiple states within the campus. And this is not just like a UCLA issue, it's a cross-campus issue. And so I think this counters all the efforts made by students who are effectively trying to make the point that any sense of communication that we're making with General Napolitano or the UC Regents is not carried through. Yeah. So I just wanted to.
All right, thank you. Okay.
So, I'll start off by saying I totally understand with and agree with many of the dissatisfactions with the Regents and Napolitano. I'm trying to implement regen reform. I need everyone's help with that, and I'm trying to hold the president accountable, and I need everyone's help with that. But this resolution comes down to an issue of funding. If we get $100 million either on Thursday or by June 15th, then tuition hikes will be a thing of the past. And I know no alternative and no better ally in the process to fund the university than those who are in charge of it. So despite my differences with regions in Napolitano, I see no alternative than to exchange resources to work together towards this common goal. And one way that I know for a fact that I've already been working is that I just spent the last 24 hours in Sacramento, excuse my lack of breath. I just ran from the airport. And today was a marathon of lobby visits and introductions to a broad range of legislators and members of the governor's office who, thanks to joint work on the part of all three members that I've suggested to be part of this coalition to bring money, we're making great progress towards that effort, and we're very optimistic about it. And the fact of the matter is that when it comes to standing up to the state and Governor Brown, the student voice needs amplification, and that requires a coalition. The coalition has to be between people with powerful voices, with people like the Regents and Napolitano, despite our differences. This is something we can agree on. We don't want tuition hikes, we want funding. And that's the point of the resolution, is to give it a sense of action and a sense of urgency. And I couldn't tell the student body that this resolution was realistic unless I also told them that it requires coalition building to take the action that's called. Thank you.
Okay, great. We'll take any other, Amy?
So, looking at this resolution, especially with the clarification of the idea that there is this move towards creating this coalition between essentially the opposition between UC, Regents, and Napolitano students, I think there must be an acknowledgement of the fact that there is already a coalition. It's a coalition of students, specifically with the passing of the no conflict ban in Napolitano last year. It was the idea that a coalition of students would eventually be the lobbying body, as opposed to when we're talking about holding Jan Napolitano and UC Regents accountable. We have to consider that the only way that that accountability is come through is that we are actually implementing student voice by creating a coalition that is of students, because we as students are being affected by these tuition hikes. Specifically speaking, myself as an out-of-state student paying $50,000 a year to go to this institution, I am subsidizing another in-state student to go here at this institution. This tuition hike, especially coming from a low-income household, would essentially leave me and other students with the same narrative unable to go to this institution. So when we're going back to the point, when we're building this coalition, it's not the idea of building a coalition with UC Regents and Jan Napolitano, because they have already shown that they're unable to work with students. We have to build a coalition that is of students specifically and make students the lobbying body.
Amy, I certainly respect your points and your feeling about the coalition, but the fact of the matter is that this week and recently, especially on the issue of funding, both the Regents and President Napolitano have proven that they do want to work with students, because they reached out to my office, and my understanding is they've reached out to other council members as well to offer the opportunity to do that lobbying on our own behalf, and maybe definitely sharing resources such that we can accomplish this goal of ours. And you make an excellent point, which is that should tuition go up, students are going to be in deep trouble. And to me, if we're doing triage here, we have to look at the fact that what's our prime directive here. I think that our first and foremost priority is for our tuition not to go up by any means possible. This is something that affects all students. There's a great deal of anxiety about the tuition increases, has been ever since they were announced in the first place. And so that means that if the office of the president and the regents are sharing these resources with student government officials such that we can make a difference on this tuition hikes issue, I would feel irresponsible as the external vice president to reject those resources, especially when they come with no strings attached. They come merely with the common aim of funding our university in a way such that the tuition burden doesn't need to be increased. So again, I'll reemphasize the concerns about the past actions of the regents and the past actions of Napolitano are well known and they're important. And going forward, that's something that they're going to have to address. But if our first and foremost priority, which I think it is to prevent students from paying an additional 27.5%, and we have an opportunity to stop that. It would be irresponsible to jeopardize that opportunity simply to say that we're not working with the regents and the Napolitano and reject things that they've done in the past.
So, I just wanted to say that, I know that you mentioned the past actions of general counsel and the apprehension that students have for general counsel, but just, this past weekend, there was a national summit for undocumented students, and General Napolitano came into the meeting, she made some presentations that students were doing, and so she initiated this conversation to start engaging between students and however she would hold herself accountable to make sure that she was on time to this meeting, to make sure that she was providing her input and really hearing the perspectives and the narratives of undocumented students. So I think that it is a good point that you made that yes, we're not commercial with preventing these tuition hikes. However, the main concern is that students still don't feel safe, and students feel as though the conversation is not going anywhere. It's like the efforts are consistently being made, but there's no progress happening. And it's happened just this past weekend. So that's where this apprehension lies, and that's where the students, even across campuses, are still very distraught about that.
Okay, I see all the hands, so I'll try Danny and then Heather.
Yes, so I completely agree. There's apprehension there. That doesn't mean that we should just stop and not work with it. Unfortunately, this is the situation that we're in, and we need to make the best of it. Otherwise, as we mentioned before, there are enormous tuition hikes pending. And kind of going back to the language, specifically states that undergraduate students association councils will take action on this topic. Specifically, and we mentioned lobbying both California state legislature and the California executive branch for the president of policy. And the other student mentioned, that this kind of last phrase was a vote of confidence in that. When I read it, it isn't necessarily a vote of confidence. It is coordinating the president of policy. We're not saying we are completely sure of her abilities as the president of the UC. We're saying we will coordinate with her. Because unfortunately, that is the situation at hand. Unfortunately, we have to do that. Nonetheless, we as the Undergraduate Students Association Council need to take the steps. We need to address this issue. Because if we do not work with it, who else are we going to be working with?
That's Danny next.
I think I'd just like to, reiterate a point that really resonated with me with what Zach said was, despite the shortcomings of Napolitano, and, they've been expressed time and time again and have been, on display for every student in the UC system to be aware of and, to be cognizant of that, they question her leadership as they should. But that doesn't change the fact that she is the president of the UC system, and that hasn't changed in the past. And, I, just based on my own, observation of the events, of the system, of the institution, that's not going to change in the foreseeable future. So that being said, I think, it's doing the student body a disservice to say that we are not going to pressure Napolitano and the region, that we are not going to, we are going to hold them accountable. And by what turns it by coordinating, I think that, we're always showing that, to the student body that just elected us, that we want to work with all our avenues that we have available as, student leaders on this campus, that we are going to, take advantage of every opportunity, opportunity with an administrator at the state level, at the UC level, here on campus, and force the conversation, and, tell them what we want to see. And by saying, it kind of, to me, kind of seems like it's turning into like, not for not, the Napolitano is shutting down students, so we're going to shut out Napolitano. I mean, I don't really see it as a cycle, like it's like a cyclical thing. When is it going to end? And I think by us, showing that as students, we're the mature ones in this situation. We're saying that we're going to meet with the Napolitano, we're going to say that this is the situation and that we demand that this is going to happen, instead of saying, I just don't see, as students, we should be trying to take advantage of every resource. And by saying that we're going to take this step forward, I think it's a positive direction for championing affordability for all students around campus.
Yeah, I was going to say this is kind of, coming at high time as well with the Dear Gov Brown campaign. And, with this whole campaign, there really is one target and, one goal of putting pressure on Governor Brown to, give the UC funding. And so I think that, I think that we need to, somewhat work together and somewhat be a unified front on this in order to, get to receive funding for the UC. And especially like next week, government relations is going to be meeting in Washington, D.C. to discuss Pell Grants and Perkins loans. And so I think that, we need to come together with the regions as much as, there is like dissatisfaction with them, just to kind of like to move forward and to put the pressure really on our one goal of, Governor Brown. So I also want to talk about the language as well. What if we like changed instead of coordinating, like putting pressure or like maybe like holding Janet Napolitano accountable for working with students on funding the UC?
Okay, so did you want to make a motion to amend the language? Did you have specific language?
Yeah, I'll type it out. Do you want me to
I'll
type
type
it out? Yeah.
Lori?
So let me widen the lens a little bit of what I see this conversation, what I see sort of the foundation of this conversation is. With a lot of campaigns, there's an insider strategy and an outsider strategy. And often we have both of those going on simultaneously. So the insider strategy, I think, is what this resolution as it's currently written is sort of describing. It's working from the inside of an institution, bound by those rules and conventions to try to make change. And then that there's often an outsider strategy, which is efforts from people outside of that structure to affect change from the outside. And in successful campaigns, there's usually both of those going on at the same time, sometimes consciously and working together, and sometimes just sort of the way politics plays itself out. So I see both of those as legitimate strategies, with each with their strengths and weaknesses. I know that a couple of years ago when Janet Napolitano was appointed the president of the University of California, it was for people like me and people I kind of hang out with who work in immigrant rights circles, it was kind of like being socked in the stomach. There was just sort of this initial disbelief that this was happening. And my recollection is that there was discussion at USAC about a no confidence vote on Napolitano. And my argument at that time was, unless y'all are prepared to mount a full-on campaign to have her removed, just sort of saying we have no confidence in you is not gonna be so effective. So, this is a person with a lot of power who, is remains the president of the University of California. So I see this tension between the insider and the outsider campaigns. The wording choice, I was going to suggest if anyone wants to make a friendly amendment is to add a clause that says, will coordinate when possible and appropriate. Because frankly, it's not always going to be possible or appropriate. So if, you wanted to add some language that made it clear that, the conditions would have to be right, that I think that might be a useful,
That's all I have. Yeah, thank you so much. I agree, I think in amendment would be great, just because the wording, is problematic and, it's problematic for discomfort. I also just wanted to address some of the stuff that I brought up. Zach, thank you so much for letting us know that they have reached out to you. I think it's just important for all of us to remember that since we are presenting a student, they will reach out to us. We have privilege in our positions, but unfortunately not a lot of students get that privilege. And unfortunately that's what happened at the UC region meeting when she literally called students, like she said, I don't have to deal with this crap, when she was addressing students in her activism. And I think that's important for us to remember. And especially because though she has not reached out now, I feel like this outreach should have happened earlier, because it seems like it's just kind of this last call out for her trying to stitch back the relationship that she has broken with us, and the confidence that she has lost with us. But yeah, I think an amendment would help because overall the resolution is great, it's amazing because that's what we are fighting for. I think it's just a problem with how things on the student.
Amy? Specifically going off of what Ollie just said, there was this, just listening to everyone say, there was this talk of jeopardization and organization, and as Zach mentioned, I find it very commendable that Zach said, I would rather not jeopardize the fact that this tuition hike happened and coordinate with Colorado. But the fact of the matter is, Napolitano's history has not shown her to coordinate students. And that's just something I really want to emphasize because not just as a council member, the reason why this resolution, honestly when I read it, I thought it was wonderful until I just hit that one word, coordinate, because of the fact that if you say you coordinate with this individual that specifically attacks as a UCLA student myself, attacks my identity, the fact that my family did figure out as undocumented, that my family was an immigrant family, that we're out of state. So all of the tables are turned against us, and when you say you coordinate with an individual that continues to perpetuate that, even though verbally she says that she will help us, realistically in the past she hasn't helped us. She has consistently turned against us, and having gone to conferences such as UCSA, I have seen that firsthand, where we have tried to talk to her, we have tried to work with her, but every single time she has invalidated the points that we have made and said that our voice is not relevant as students. So that's specifically where I'm coming from, because this resolution is necessary. It is necessary because we are addressing an issue and addressing all the communities that are really affected by this tuition hike, but we also need to address the fact that if we say we're going to coordinate with Janet Napolitano, it would honestly be a backwards turn on this resolution. We'd be stepping backwards as opposed to moving forward because she essentially looks for her tables again, she would have the day and not work with students because her history has shown that.
Ian?
I sort of think that I agree with a lot of points that were made, and right now what we're focusing on is making sure that this tuition hike doesn't happen. And the person who has the power to make that decision, the person who has the power from the UC is Governor Brown. So I think it's important that we do right now is put as much pressure as we can on the governor to make sure that the University of California is funded. And in doing that, we do have to partner with some of the people that have common goals with us. And I think that Napolitano and Regents both have a common goal in ensuring that funding goes to the UC. And so coordinating with her is sort of just a necessity at this point. And I agree with what Lorraine said, it's not always possible to coordinate with her, it's not always advisable to coordinate with her. So I think that changing language to say that we'll coordinate when it's appropriate and when it's possible is something that we should do, because it might not always be appropriate, it might not always be possible, but if we took out the language of coordinating, then we're sort of precluding any possibility at all of ever working with her, which I think is unwise. So I'm going to make a motion to amend the language to insert the words when possible and appropriate before the word coordinating.
All right, so a motion is on the table, and so you want that after coordinating?
Before coordinating.
Before.
So the words when possible and appropriate between the words and coordinated.
Okay. All right, so and when possible and appropriate coordinating. So we do have a motion on the table. So we'll go ahead and issue that to a vote. So all those in favor of amending the language to say and when possible and appropriate, coordinating with Janet Napolitano, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, 10. Those against? 1, 2, 3. And those abstaining? All right, so a 10-3-0 vote is approved to amend the language to that last part. So now we will continue on our discussion about the resolution. Yeah.
We didn't hear if you said it, and I don't know, so I don't know if it was captured for the minutes. Who seconded that?
Oh, okay, who's in second? So, sorry. Okay, yeah, sorry, that was my fault. So go ahead and redo the vote. So the motion was put on by Ian. Can I get a second? Second by Jamie. All right, we'll go ahead and reissue the vote. So all those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, all those against? 1, 2, 3, and all those abstaining? All right, so 10-3-0 vote. We've amended the language to say, and when possible and appropriate, coordinating with President Napolitano. So moving on from that, are there any other discussion regarding the rest of the resolution before we move, or if somebody moves to approve the resolution? Yes.
I just want a clarification. Can you explain specifically what the middle income scholarship will entail?
Yeah, so I can go ahead and comment on that. That is actually one of the platforms that I ran on. So this is something I have been working with the UC Student Regent Designate Audio event, and working with specifically with Yolanda Coco Morgan and the Associate Vice Chancellor's Office. So there is already a middle income scholarship that has been established at UC Davis and UC Berkeley, and then there is the middle class scholarship, which is established in the state. So this one will actually be specific to UCLA. And so working about how we can advocate on middle income affordability and how we can prove that this is something that is necessary, especially at the current financial situation we are looking at. So it's saying that we support the establishment of this and we support working with the Associate Vice Chancellor's Office. This is also something that will not be tapping into student fees. This is something we'll be looking at our Generous Alumni Donation Network and seeing about funding this scholarship beyond UCLA and beyond using student fees. So that's specifically what that middle income scholarship is. Yeah.
Who specifically is eligible for this scholarship?
The middle income scholarship. So still the details are being determined once we determine who the donors are. But middle income, so we decided to rename it post middle class middle incomes to avoid classist language. So the idea would be $60,000 to $160,000 income is what has been discussed on the table. So looking at middle income in reference to what is clarified as middle income throughout the rest of the course. Anaïs?
I would like to make a new amendment. I don't know how to do that.
Yes.
Okay. So if possible, if we can put in something that is the lobbying, executive branch and how students will not work with Napolitano and regions until the regions and Napolitano are held accountable and are transparent with the decision-making process about having the proper conversation with students in regards to issues such as tuition increase. So that's, I want to talk from that. Yeah, no problem. I know it's So, after the talk in the executive branch, and how students will not work with Napolitano and the regions until the regions and the UC office, the president, are held accountable and are transparent with the decision-making process and have engaged in conversations with students in regards to issues such as the tuition increases, and that's the overall issue that we
All right, so there is a motion on the table. With that language, would you mind sending it out via email to us? Let's see. Yeah. And I have the edit.
Do you want me to type it up or?
Yeah, that'd be great. I'll take it up.
I have a point of clarification. Does
Yeah.
that nullify my amendment? Because it seems like that language is in place of where I inserted my language. So I'm a little confused.
Okay, so you put a clarification, so you had mentioned the amendment specifically on these, so
Yes.
did you want to address this question?
Yeah, no, the amendment that I made, I wanted to, basically put in that, language instead of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
You would put it, yeah, okay. What is the, like, dissatisfaction with the language that Ian proposed?
Because I think, could you repeat what,
So I,
initially?
so the amendment that we approved inserted the words when possible and appropriate between the words and according. So it says, it's not a little far away. Lobbying with California State Legislature and California Executive Branch, and when possible appropriate, coordinating with President Napolitano.
The issue that I have is that because of the fact that students have consistently tried to work with Napolitano, and they have tried to coordinate with her over the years, there's no progress. So I think that making a point, putting that pressure, I think that the language that I just proposed right now, it makes it more pressing, and it makes it more relevant to the concerns that the students have on campus and across campus. It's not just a USAC issue, it's a cross campus issue. So I think that it makes it more clear about how stressed out the students are with the UC Office of the President and with the UC regions. And I think it just makes it more clear as to how we can move forward, and that is only through accountability and making sure that the UC regions and the UC Office of the President are much more transparent in the process with students.
Okay, since there is a motion on the table, we can entertain discussions of point of order or point of clarification. Is it one of those? No. Okay, since there is a motion, is there a second? Since there is a motion on the table, what? What did you say? Once you second, you can discuss. Okay, so there's been a second by Alia. Okay, so now there can be discussion.
Yes, and then after discussion, you call a question and then there's a motion back.
Okay, okay. So Zach?
I will say that should that language pass, were I to be compliant with the resolution, it would preclude me from, the next 3 weeks, there are several lobby visits scheduled, several phone calls scheduled, much of which has been coordinated with, and on account of resources prepared by the regions and Napolitano. So should I be compliant with the resolution, if it passes, given your language, that would mean that I would have to cancel all those lobby visits, all those phone calls, and stop my advocacy efforts. Again, I don't fully understand how binding resolutions are, but obviously, I hope for a united council and like to act together.
Okay, so Heather and then Alia. I think that I understand how there's students, and even myself included, that are dissatisfied with Napolitano. There's a lot of things that I do not agree with her on, which is why I think that the when appropriate and, when possible and appropriate, when those two, circumstantial situations arise, that we should act on that as, student leaders in order to be, effective, in order to, really advocate on behalf of students. I recognize that there are going to be, students that agree with her 100% all the time. I'm not one of those students that is, gung-ho about her all the time, but I think that in this instance, in funding the UC, we need to, unite and act as one force on Governor Brown. Because I don't see that there's any other way for us to be successful in this. And we just really need, all people on board.
at this point. So that's why I think that, like, your sentiments and your ideas about, Janet being and the Board of Regents being held accountable is kind of incorporated into the when appropriate and when possible. When both of those, criteria are met, then I think that as students, we should be working with Janet.
Sorry, Ollie. So just to that first, I don't think you necessarily at all. If anything, I think it's great for you to continue to log in and continue to go to those meetings, but with what is in mind from the students that you've heard from. With that in mind, that a lot of students want to see this, unfortunately, do feel uncomfortable with working directly with Peloton. They feel uncomfortable being in the space of Peloton, and she has disrespected a lot of students that we work with. So if anything, I think it was great that you're going on these visits, and I think it's important for you to really push the conversation and hold them accountable. I think that's the biggest thing that came out of this amendment is that though we are willing to work with them, but it's when we're keeping them accountable and we're also holding them to their transparency. And I think that hasn't been done in the past, and that's what we need to fix. So it's just with the point that we're trying to fix something and we're moving forward, so we're trying to fix the relationship without really moving forward, especially with what's happened in the past.
Amy? Why don't you judge when something is possible? What are the things that you would judge you are as possible in your career?
Ian and then Danny?
I kind of think we have the same problem with when we judge when they're being transparent, like how do we judge when they're being accountable? It's up to the student leaders to decide when it's appropriate, when it's possible to coordinate their actions, when it's possible and appropriate to make an effort to work with these people that are in power. And I agree that they should be held accountable, and I agree that they should be transparent. But I think our efforts right now need to focus on coordinating the people that can make these decisions and can have influence with them.
Danny next.
I think the reason I supported Ian's changing of the words is because it gives our council flexibility and it allows us to make a discussion based on, when we listen to students and we can, make a decision based off our own, set of experiences, and our own best judgment. And I think the reason I find some of the language in the amendment on ACE proposed a little problematic for me is because I feel like it kind of brings an ultimatum. And it says, we will only work under these conditions. And those should be conditions, but I think to have that explicitly written down, I think puts us in a position where we can't negotiate, we can't move around and we can't be, change our strategy to best serve our fellow students and really fight for affordability. And that's my biggest concern, because I think the language with Ian said, it said, there was what Amy pointed out there, she was looking for specific conditions of when we should. That's good, and I think leaving it vague on purpose is something I appreciate because it allows us as student leaders to disseminate the information and come to the conclusion that we see fit. And it's not saying that we're going to do it this way, we're going to do it this way, but we're going to look at, all the facts, all the details, and come to an educated decision, based after speaking to students and after coming to our own judgment on behalf of our fellow students here at UCLA.
Lexi? Did you have your hand up? Are you scratching?
Wait, so this is moving
Okay, see.
So I understand that everyone's speaking and I've heard everyone's opinions, and I think like everyone's opinions are super valid. And is there a way that we can maybe combine them and make, because when I saw that additional amendment, it felt a little bit, not negative to me, but almost like we have an opportunity to have a clean slate, and maybe we should take that opportunity to reach out and see what DAC is capable of and the council is capable of doing, while also acknowledging that they do need to be more transparent. So is there a way maybe combining them to keep Ian's language in there, but maybe at the end tack on something like pressuring them to be held accountable and more transparent with their decision-making process, so that way, we can acknowledge that while also stating that we do want to work with them when possible. Okay.
All right, so this is still further discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
I wanted to actually go to Elaine.
The question of accountability, I completely agree with you, Lexi. Accountability doesn't mean that you have to choose either or. All I'm saying is if you create a stipulation of accountability, that means whenever you walk into those meetings with the UC Office of the President, or you walk into a meeting with the regents, that each of the representatives, Zach is EVP when you have those meetings, if you can have asks. If you can just say, President Napolitano, I think it's important that you keep into consideration the UCSA bylaws that says that the regents must give that board 40 days notice before moving forward with the tuition increase. It doesn't mean let me pick whether I can have those conversations. It's just making sure that you set a precedent to ensure that a tuition increase in the future does not happen without having a student voice to be represented at the table. And I think we need to do that because this is a 5-year tuition increase. Meaning that if we don't hold them accountable this year, they'll see that they're able to get away with these actions. Not only that, we have to keep in mind that by having that final whereas or let it be resolved, we're devaluing the work of many individuals who identify with the UC Student Association. Over 240,000 students are being represented in that space, and all of the EVPs unanimously voted to be able to show no confidence. So I think it's important. I love the resolution. I think it's beautiful, and I think it's worthwhile to be able to work on this moving forward. But have asked. Let them know that it's unacceptable moving forward. That students should not be consulted in these conversations.
And of course, I totally agree with that plan of action. My assumption, right, was that as the external vice president, as the student representative to external bodies, of course, it's one of the natural laws, if you'll allow my language, of the office to hold them accountable for the things they've done to us in the past. My concern is the use of the word unless in the resolution, in the motion to change the language. My concern is that the language that's been offered actually makes working with them and me giving those asks a mutually exclusive thing, where if I can't work with them unless they say, okay, okay, we're gonna do that. And the fact of the matter is that, to Danae's point, it's a work in progress. It's not a relationship with need mending. It's something that will take time. But the fact of the matter is that the May budget revise is on Thursday, and that the final signing of the budget is on June 15th. I don't have, as the external vice president, I don't have the time to wait for that relationship to be perfect. There's a lot that needs to be done on both fronts, and my plan, of course, is to work on both fronts, which is why I feel that the when possible and appropriate language allows me the flexibility to accomplish, both directives of the office and to another point, unless I follow that do-all plan of action, what I'm doing is providing the stakeholders of the University of California and doing Governor Brown's job for him. If he doesn't want to give us that $100 million, he doesn't have to if there's infighting amongst the stakeholders of the University of California. That being said, can I motion to vote on the language, or is there further, I can get into further discussion as well?
So if you want to, there's the opportunity to issue a call to question, and then there'd be a 2/3 vote to end debate, and then there would be a go to a vote of the language that was proposed.
Sure.
So you want to make a motion to call to question?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to call.
Okay, so this will be a vote to end debate, and then we'll immediately go into another vote to approve the language that was proposed. So the first vote, we need 2/3 to end debate on this particular. Oh, we need a second. All right, second by Danny. Okay, so this will be in favor of ending debate. So all those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And this is so we have 9. Yeah, you will put it.
Yeah, I just want to remind you that Lexi was just about combining the two languages between Ian and myself, so I just try to
This is just for the language that you proposed.
Okay.
So we can vote down the language that you proposed or vote.
Or you could join.
Yeah.
You can't. Oh, no, you can't.
But there is a vote.
Okay, so this would be 2/3 since we have 9. Okay, so now we're gonna go to a vote of the language. Yeah, that was, okay. So let's do it one more time. So this is to end debate for this proposed amendment. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, and then those against. 1, all right, and those that abstain. 1.
Sorry, I was against.
Okay, so let's do it again. So vote against. 1, 2, 3, and then those that abstain. 0. All right, so a 10-3-0 vote. We're going to end debate on this amendment. So now we'll go into a vote of the amendment suggested by Harmonies. So all those in favor. Do we need a motion?
No.
This is just a vote. Okay. All right, so all those in favor of the proposed amended language from Harmonies. 1, 2, 3. All right, all those against? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then all those that abstain. All right, so a 3-10-0 vote. The amended language was voted against. So we are still with the original language and when possible and appropriate, coordinating with President Napolitano. So now I can open the floor for further discussion or any proposed language.
Is this me again? I mean, if you guys are open to it, just like maybe combining them and making it still seem positive, while also acknowledging that we do need to put pressure on them to be held accountable and more transparent with their decisions. So maybe to keep Ian's language in, but also to insert something at the end. I don't know if some of these other writing amendments to it, but maybe saying at the end, as well as pressuring them to be held accountable and transparent with their decision-making process, so we still keep discussion open, that can still do what it needs to do. But we can also acknowledge the fact that she's not slutty, but she hasn't been as receptive in the past, and maybe we should be more open to pressuring them to be more open with us.
Okay, thank you. Just say switch point, does anyone have specific language?
I was gonna say, could you, maybe repeat what you said in the beginning?
Yeah. So the amendment was, it should read, lobbying both the California State Legislature and California Executive Branch, and when possible and appropriate, coordinating with President Napolitano.
Okay, what about? Okay.
So what about like tapping on the ends? We have when possible and appropriate coordinating with President Napolitano, University of California, as well as pressuring President Napolitano of the UC regions to be held accountable and transparent with their decision-making process.
To be held
accountable and transparent with their decision-making process.
Okay. So let me reread the proposed language. Okay. So, when it finally resolved that the Undergraduate Student Association Council will take action on behalf of this effort, lobbying both the California State Legislature and the California Executive Branch, and when possible and appropriate, coordinating with President Napolitano and the UC regions to strengthen the effort to achieve our common goal of state investment in the University of California, as well as pressuring President Napolitano and the UC regions to be held accountable and transparent with decision-making process. Okay, so that is proposed.
Decision-making processes.
Okay, so with that, since that is proposed language, I can entertain a motion. So do you make a motion to add that language, Lexi?
I mean, what's the preposition before the decision-making process?
I also reshared you all of this Google off too, so when you're the University Council.
I would be on.
Okay.
Or just a matter of.
So, and to achieve our common goal of state investment in the University of California, as well as pressuring President Napolitano and the UC regents to be held accountable and transparent with the decision-making process.
Maybe in their decision-making.
Their decision.
Their decision-making processes or process?
I think process is superfluous. I think if we do transparent in their decision-making, then it addresses the issue.
Okay, so county also has its official rules. Okay. So was there an amendment to the language to say decision-making process?
I don't know if it's made it officially. Do you want to make the amendment and then, or make the motion and then she read the entire amendment?
Okay. Wait, did we decide at the end to make our process?
It's up to the proposed language, so I'm making a friendly amendment to your language. Yeah. And we'll actually wait till Patty pulls it up so we can all see it. You don't have it?
Yeah, I have you on the doc. Okay, got it. Got it.
Yeah, it's on it right now.
I'll look for it.
Do you have this tab open?
No, but I'll find it.
So let me share. Okay, so I can entertain a motion.
I would like to make a motion to amend the language of the final paragraph, so at the end of University of California, Lincoln Kaplan, as well as pressuring President Napolitano and the UC regents to be held accountable and transparent in their decision-making.
I think it's at the bottom.
Oh.
Okay, so let's up first, let's take a second to her motion, then we can discuss. So you made a motion, so is there a second? Okay, second by Marvin. Okay, so now was there any discussion about this? You want to make a friendly amendment? Okay, so what do you want to say?
This decision process.
For their decision, okay, so this is a friendly amendment to your amendment, so do you agree with decision-making process? Kind of consensus?
Okay, I will agree with you.
Okay, so let's stay on task. So we got, this proposal made a second. Yes, Amy? Okay, so we'll go ahead, there already was a second, so we'll go ahead and go to a vote. So all those in favor, please raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There we go. 13, all those against, and all those abstain. All right, so 13-0-0 vote. This was the amended language. Okay, so now we have the amended language. Are there any, we can have either further discussion about the resolution, or there can be a motion to approve the resolution in its entirety. Stan.
We have motion to approve the resolution.
So you move
Yeah,
to.
you move to.
Okay, so you move to approve the resolution. All right, is there a second? Seconded by Trent. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Great. So to a 13-0-0 vote, a resolution, the official title, a resolution in support of increased affordability for students at the University of California has been approved. Okay, all right. So hi everyone. Let's get back to our meeting. Okay, so that was the last of our new business. Now we'll go ahead and go on to announcements. So we'll go ahead and start over here. There's announcements. Marvin.
Okay. So SWC has up next Wednesday. Thursday, yes, the 20th, SWC is awareness and bullying boys. So we're inviting in academic and ballroom. Everyone should come outside. It's really great support HIV/AIDS research, and it will be next Wednesday. Ballroom's Facebook event. I'll invite you all. Link it on Facebook, and also this Thursday. There is SWC Sexperts, one of the committees is holding a big, beautiful sex, body image, and sexuality. Well, they'll be talking about things related to that title. And it's this Thursday, 6 to 8 p.m. in Royce 124. And then one last thing, the leader of one of the SWC committees for Consent Coalition and myself will be attending the Sexual Health Coalition meeting tomorrow. Wednesday at 4 p.m. in the Ash Large Conference Room, and I welcome everyone on the council to come and attend. There's free.
Thank you. Lexi?
So on Thursday, we're showing 50 Shades of Grey free film. And then on Monday, we're showing a free sneak of Tomorrowland, which is a new Disney movie with George Clooney. I'm super excited. And then on 5/19, we're doing a free sneak of Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, who is Sunday at the I guess you guys, but anyone who knows, I was with them. And then on 5/20 in Room Plaza, we're having a free concert at Gold Link. It's the awesome. 5/21 for Interface Film Festival finale, which is student films, and it's going to be really cool. And then on 5/27, we're doing a concert in Acme Gray Ballroom, C6. Get ready. Hope to see you all there. Rush seas.
The Community Service Commission has just released recently with the Office of the President the John Sarby and Robert Michaels Leadership and Service Award, which is a $1,000 scholarship for continuing students this following year. I'm going to have it forwarded out. We'll send it out to all of the council for if you're interested in applying. I'm also forwarding it to those. I'm just going to read a brief description. The scholarship will reward individuals who have gone beyond their role as students and in turn integrated service as an integral part of their UCLA experience and have shown outstanding leadership in their service work. So again, it's a $1,000 scholarship which is dispersed through the bar. Each student's bar account will be releasing that application at the student project.
Okay, great.
All right.
Any other announcements?
Sorry. So this coming Sunday from 11 to 3, CAC and Bedrock One coach program to take a tour with diversity tours to the student. And so from 11 to 3, if you actually but aside from that, also what's really been hired in campus here is that Jazz Radiate is also hired at this program. So that will allow JRF staff to just jump right into like CAC staff and just be a collective new staff. So that if you know anyone is interested or yourself is interested in being part of Jazz Radiate, please welcome that.
It is Try Talk tomorrow. It's the one that I mentioned last week. So it will be from 7 to 9 in John. The topic is green over red, how can these guys impact the world around us? And then also bringing it back to how this affects South Asian issues, since that's why Try Talk started. Talk about South Asian issues that also have to do with a lot of other communities. In South Asia, there's a lot of emphasis on our environment, and unfortunately, the topic is something that should be, especially concerning like sacred animals and how to treat your body. Like your body is like a temple, like that tradition is South Asian culture. So yeah, it will definitely be awesome for you all to come through. There will be free native food for vegetables and people more of your yeah, so it'll really good. And there will also be
Any other announcements? I have a couple of announcements. So thank you all so much for changing your profile pictures for the Dear Governor Brown campaign. This is something, especially as Zach mentioned, with the Mary guys, that this is something very important that we all collectively work together. So I encourage you, the video has been released as well, so please share that. If you haven't already, please like the UC Student Rise. The UC Student Regent Designate Audio Events Facebook page, as well as the Dear Governor Brown campaign Facebook page as well. You can see that video, so please be sure to share it to your networks and encourage, if you already have your staff members, or encourage your networks to change their profile pictures and to tag the Dear Governor Brown. It's very important that we continue to put pressure, especially collaborating with our student region and working to make sure that USAC is behind this. This is something that is very, very important that we collectively work together in this initiative. Additionally, I will be recruiting council members for ARC, the Appointments Review Committee, because we need to get moving on our appointments very soon, especially DOD, because they do have training in early July. And I spoke to probably who wants the appointment sooner than later, so I'd like to kind of bring that appointment probably realistically during week 9, so to have ARC convene before then, so we can improve those 2 DOD appointments to bring before council. So I will probably send out a interest survey, so please fill that out if you're interested in being part of the ARC. Additionally, there are many committees that council members will be a part of. A few of them are funding bodies. Another example is the Constitutional Review Committee. So we will be looking to start to convene those, and I will start to kind of gauge interest in which council members want to be on specific committees. Please remember that there are 14 of us, so try not to be realizing you will be on one committee, you probably won't be on all of them. So I will be sending out an interest survey. That is what David McCarthy did when he was president, and it's the best way to kind of gauge the interest in the entire council. So we'll be doing that. And then I wanted to call for any last announcements. Anything? There also is the interfaith, I'm sure that I'm looking forward to it, but the interfaith event on Thursday at 3 p.m. Correct? Yeah, it's in the email, so Heather sent out an email, so I just want to encourage you all to attend. I think it's very important as council members, especially considering our discussion last week and then into this week, that we are continuing to make sure that we are educated about the different intersectionalities by here at UCLA. So with that, seeing no other announcements, I will go ahead and entertain a motion to adjourn. I move to adjourn meeting. Okay, I think that was second. Second by Dan. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right, 13 in favor, those against, those abstained, so 13-0-0. We can go ahead and pass the signing of the attendance sheet. I adjourn.